And now on Sydney Weekend, cheers with Ben Malouf. Thanks to firstvintage.com.au.
He's joined me in the studio, a brand new segment, a brand new media personality, Ben Malouf. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Dan, thanks for having me. And I have to say, this is a terribly tough way to come to work on a day-to-day basis looking out this window.
We look out across, that is Blackwattle Bay, I think, or perhaps Pyrmont Bay. Blackwattle Bay, maybe. I think it's Blackwattle. Kaylee's nodding to me. This is all about wine. This is a brand new segment. We're going to do it each and every week. You've come in for the first one. You look $1 million. We're going to talk about wine. The first thing I'm going to ask you about is out and about these days, everybody's drinking champagne. And I was even at the races a month ago, and there's all these young blokes, 22, 23, dressed up to the nines, drinking champagne.
Drinking sparkles. Look, it's quite interesting, and I think we should just sort of clarify, champagne traditionally, or technically, is only made in one area in France, in the Champagne region. But Australia is doing a lot of wonderful sparkling wines.
Oh, okay, right.
Sparkling wines. Yeah. But I think that there's two reasons for that. And I think that there's two reasons that people are starting to get into that sort of, the sparkling wine. First off is it's becoming very affordable. So you've got traditionally champagne was sort of a little bit expensive. You think about your Moets and your Dom Perignons, and all of a sudden you associate this real expense with them.
Yeah.
But these days it's quite affordable. But the other thing is, I think that there's a change in sort of society and cultural icons as well. Let me just take a step back. You said 22-year-old blokes at the races. Now, let's compare Michael Clarke of the Australian cricket team with David Boone back in the 1980s. Your cultural icons back in the 80s, they were beer and bourbon kind of guys. These days, I don't know what Michael Clarke drinks, but I can see Michael Clarke standing there with a nice glass of sparkling champagne, or your David Beckhams, or your American rappers. So you've, on the one hand, got these really affordable products, these new cultural icons who are encouraging people to drink these sort of things. And let's face it, young guys want to be cool.
That's very well explained. That makes perfect sense. And what is, if I'm going out tonight and I'm thinking, you know what, Ben's just put the idea in my head, the seed in my head that I'm going to take a bottle of Australian sparkling wine. What should I take? Let's say under $20.
Under $20, there's a great drop called Henry's Drive. It's a Blanc de Blanc, which actually means it's a Chardonnay, and it's beautiful, particularly if you're doing something with a bit of Thai or something like that. Something with a nice little bit of spice. It cuts right through that spice, and it's a perfect accompaniment with food.
What was it? Henry's Drive?
Henry's Drive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Postmistress Blanc de Blanc.
All right. Now, somebody else listening tonight doesn't want to drink sparkling, but wants to put something nice on the table. What should I be putting on my table this summer?
This summer?
What's hot?
Oh, what's hot? Look, over the last 5 years, Marlborough Sauv Blancs have been the number one thing. Everybody's drinking Marlborough Sauv Blancs, but I like to take a step to the left and say Australia makes the best wines in the world. So first and foremost, let's support Australian farmers. Let's support Australian wineries. Pinot Gris is a really, really cool, emerging, up-and-coming grape. I'm getting some nods here in the studio. It's almost what I call a gateway wine. So it's one of those wines, you're not really sure whether you like wine or not. Give Pinot Gris a try. It's great on a hot summer's day. It's a great barbecue wine. It's a perfect accompaniment with pretty much any food.
Does it have to be icy cold? No. If I'm drinking white wine, it has to be icy cold.
No, see, that's a misconception. You shouldn't serve your white wines icy cold because you suppress all those beautiful flavours that the winemaker is actually trying to get across. So take it out of the fridge. Sit it outside for about 10 minutes, let it warm up just a little bit, just off icy cold, and then you get these beautiful flavours and aromas. And maybe that's something that people can do tonight. Get your first bottle out of the fridge. I say the first bottle. Get your first bottle out of the fridge, have a sip whilst it's icy cold, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then try it again. And you will see a really big difference in the style of wine and the flavours that you get out of it.
So... But hang on a second. Every time you go to a restaurant, they put the wine on ice. They put it in the ice buckets. So you're telling me that these restaurants, and even top-end restaurants do it, that maybe they're not serving those wines, and at some of those top restaurants you can pay a fortune for a bottle of wine, are not serving them at their optimum.
Look, there is the beauty about the wine industry is that there is no right or wrong answer. The way that I look at it is, what was the winemaker trying to express out of that bottle of wine? And the answer to that can't be seen when a bottle of white wine is served icy cold. So to get the true flavours and aromas, it should be just that little bit, just that little bit off. Now, if you're sitting in a restaurant and it's sitting in ice and a bit of the ice has melted, there's a good chance that the bottle is going to be served just off there. But I don't believe you'd be serving them icy cold.
Yeah, it's funny because I know someone who drinks their red wine chilled.
Yes, I get a lot of people telling me, particularly Pinot Noir. I hear a lot of people say that they put a few ice cubes in the Pinot Noir or they whack it in the fridge for 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, this mate of mine drinks his Merlot.
Very good.
Cold, yeah.
Look, there's no right or wrong answer. Do whatever really tastes good for you.
All right, we haven't got much time left. Let me just ask one question, and this has been on my mind for a long, long time. Don't ask me why. What happened to Fruity Lexia?
Fruity Lexia. Oh, I think that's something you might have been drinking at the age of 16, Dan. Is that true?
Maybe I was. I don't remember. That probably speaks volumes about the amount I drank. But what happened to Fruity Lexia?
Look, Fruity Lexia is still around. It's actually related to the muscat grape. So it's quite sweet. It's quite fruity. The Australian palate has evolved a little bit. So you've got beautiful Chardonnay, Semsav Blancs, Pinot Gris. So we've moved on from Fruity Lexia a little bit, but there are a couple of great ones still out on the market if you truly do love it.
Let's go to an open line corner. Don't go anywhere, Ben. James is on the line. G'day, James.
Yeah, how you doing?
We're going well, thanks. What do you want to say?
That's right. Listen, I just turned the radio on because I just went up the road I'm going to get a bottle of Dirty Red for dinner tonight, some anchovies to make a nice little pizza, because I'm just at home with my son. But I've never heard an announcer speak so much common sense about drinking white wine for a long, long time. And I support your comments about the Australian wine industry. I refuse to buy New Zealand Sauv Blanc, which is supposedly the best of the best. And I've in fact resigned from the Wine Society because they have two doors of New Zealand wine in their fridge. They don't have hardly any Australian wine.
Look, James, I love to hear that. I'm really passionate about Australian agriculture. I've supported and worked with the Royal Agricultural Societies across the country for the past 5 years. And I can tell you, it is just wonderful and refreshing to hear somebody really getting behind Australian wines and the farmers.
And this new segment has been wonderful and refreshing as well.
Dan, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me in.
This has been Cheers with Ben Malouf. And give us the website again.
It's firstvintage.com.au, or you can find us on Facebook as well.
As First Vintage.
Absolutely.
Like it, and we might even give away some prizes over the next few weeks. Ben Malouf, thank you very much for your time.